Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of September 24, 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is this a very special time. It is going to be right out of the gate that we've got beautiful mercurial energy. Thanks to Mercury trine Jupiter. We end the week with Mercury trine Uranus. I consider these very fortunate because they speak to our thought processes. The energy of Mercury speaks to what we're talking about, the news that we're receiving. And so we've got this easy, light energy that does suggest we're able to talk about whatever it is that we're thinking, but we're also able to make sense of our lives and especially how it is that we're living. We grasp certain details, but it is actually done so that it serves to our advantage. The energy at the end of the week in particular with Mercury trine Uranus, well, I think of that as great news. So very good news could find us at that time. And it can be at that time that as a result of being in the right place at the right time, connecting with the right person, it can make all the difference for us on so many levels, personally or professionally. There's a real opportunity here to feel real change, practical change in our lives as we move through the small moments, seeing them differently, but also experiencing meaningful new perspectives that change our understanding of the value of our life itself. Life happens in the mundane moments. That is true. And every life has moments that feel very high with triumph, but also, every life is going to have moments where it feels like we are at a low, or it feels like there's so much emotion and we are striving to make sense of it. And it is that mercurial energy this week that I think is going to help us to make sense of so much, but it also elevates what otherwise could be rather heavy and rather intense energy. And I want to be straightforward with you, of course. We are probably really going to need it, okay? And I say that because this week, what gets the glitz, the glamour, the glory is the full moon on Friday. Now, this full moon is powerful. Remember, full moons bring with them culmination. They bring with them conclusions, and they bring with them clarity, especially emotional clarity. And there's a lot of emotion at this time with this full moon so close in the sky to Chiron in particular. But other than that Chiron energy, for the most part, it seems that this full moon is basically unaspected. Of course, if you throw enough asteroids in there, everything ends up being aspected in one way or another. But I'm considering the major planets here. And what that means is because it's just sort of the full moon hanging out in the sign of Aries, not far from Chiron, magnifying our sense of sensitivity, our sense of vulnerability, magnifying a sense of us having reactions to things that touch those buttons within, that have us feeling insecure in some way. But does that add up to something of major consequence? Well, the thing is, probably not. There's a lot of healing here, but it's almost like the worst things that we think are going to happen most likely are not going to happen. And this full moon has this element there of us getting in touch with where it is that we know ourselves, what it is we understand our priorities are. It helps us to get in touch with the things that we're most passionate about in our lives. But the thing with Aries energy, as much as it is associated with all of these things, that's why Aries is a strong placement when we think about things like entrepreneurial endeavors, for example, where you're trusting yourself and you're taking action from that place, bold action at that. Because it is the first sign of the zodiac, it has a layer there where it isn't always as confident as it appears. The confidence can seem like bulldozing, and yet there could be an inner sense of, is this going to work out? What is this going to mean in the long term? I don't know. All I know is what I feel right now and what I have to begin right now. Well, that beginning very likely is going to come hand in hand with some truth, with some closure. So with that full moon raising our passions, raising our vulnerabilities, bringing them right to the surface, and maybe even showing where we don't want them to show. Where it is that we have a desire instead to feel safe and protected, this can suggest a feeling of overexposure. But because this full moon is essentially unaspected by big power players, because of that factor, chances are that the things we're afraid are going to happen probably won't. And where it is there's a moment, something within us will be able to keep it private, keep a lid on it. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't have far-reaching consequences, especially for us personally. Ultimately, Chiron does speak to and where it is that we might tap into a spirit of immortality, where it is we're meant to transcend hardship and heal in ways that are very permanent and very meaningful to us as well. But there's another factor to consider here that I find so fascinating, and that is hours after the full moon perfects, Uranus squares Venus. This is important for a few reasons. The main reason is this is the third and final time that Uranus and Venus are going to square as part of the larger dance of the Venus retrograde season. Now we're almost at the gate, right? We are almost done Venus retrograde season. The larger season here ends at the end of next week, but it is and has been since late June that we have been in the larger season. Venus first went into shadow the 20th of June, went retrograde July 23rd, went direct the 3rd of September. This dance between Venus and Uranus has been ongoing. The last time they connected was the 9th of August. Before then, it was the 2nd of July. In some way, whatever's happening under the light of that full moon will likely also awaken what took place for us, especially around these key dates. And squares bring with them tension. They bring with them frustration, and especially squares of Uranus. It's like we really want something to be different, or in some way, we really want to be more independent. We want things to transform dramatically, and they can very quickly at this time. A lot of that transformation or change of circumstances is going to be rooted in the truth. Quotes there. Uranus speaks to clarity, crystal clarity in an instant. It speaks to where it is now we might be ready to accept the truth of what actually has been going on. And that truth shows up in ways that take us by surprise. The square does suggest we are willing to put in the time, put in the work so things could be different, or it's our decision to make in some way what this truth is going to mean. What's the consequence going to be? And what is it that we have to move away from with that full moon? So full moon in Aries, already passions are high. And then we have this incredibly important moment as part of the larger Venus retrograde season. Next week and into the following week, we get that wrap up some aspects that aren't necessarily as strong as the square. And I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way. But yeah, this is big. This is the big one. And what that suggests is final decisions, final choices related to what has been happening for us in love, especially since the second part of June. And so now, months later, here we are. We get a chance to be honest with ourselves about heart, about what we really want. Venus is also in a fire sign. Remember that as well. With the full moon in fire and Venus, there is this sense of what it is that lights us up, and also what it is that we really know. Maybe it's intuitively, maybe it's through our own experience, but it's about accepting some truth that may heighten vulnerability, but lends itself to profound change, navigating forward from here. And I don't say this lightly. Sometimes there are full moons that are tapping into all kinds of big celestial power players, and that can be good. It means the energy comes forward. It speaks to different areas of life where we're able to tap into what's happening in a different area of life to our advantage, to grow in some way. But when we have a isolated, unaspected, essentially unaspected, Aries full moon, all that energy feels as if it's not sure where to go. And then we get that Venus square Uranus, and it finds direction very quickly. It isn't just about what we feel, our own sense of self and vulnerability, or even identity, but it becomes about what our heart is telling us with that Venus in Leo. That makes this such a powerful time. Now, consider this as well. It is right around that time, as we get to the very end of the week, depending on where you are on the planet, either Friday or Saturday, Mercury leaves shadow. And what that means is the larger Mercury retrograde season that we have been in throughout August and this month as well, well, it is now at a close. Whatever's happening at this point may in some way speak to what was happening right around the 23rd of August. That's how far back we're going here. And yet this moment has its own energy as well. It stands alone in how it invites us to get clear, and very quickly at that. The full moon, Venus square Uranus, is followed up by Mercury trine Uranus. That is very supportive, because Mercury trine Uranus is that sense of great luck, wonderful news just finding us. It's hearing something that brings great delight, getting the letter that makes all the difference, the ideal contract coming through, all very mercurial things. But with that trine to Uranus, there's the promise of things changing very quickly and to our advantage, and that we like what is changing at that time. With Venus square, we work for what is changing, but we'll understand what's the right thing to do, what it is for us to do, and maybe what it is that is not. And in the process, towards the end of the week, wow, do we heal ourselves so profoundly and so deeply as well. Aries is the sign of the golden fleece. And so the story can get quite elaborate, mythologically speaking, but basically there was a golden ram with wings. And just consider that visual for a second. Gold represents authority, it represents royalty. And wings represent freedom, the ability to take flight, to go where it is that you desire to go. And of course, the ram is a symbol of great strength. And it is this ram that had the golden fleece. And it is a very famous mythological extended story around Jason and the Argonauts that speaks to the different trials and hurdles that Jason had to go through to secure this fleece. Symbolic of authority. Authority means different things to different people. However, with this full moon, we are invited to look at where we can take claim of what it is that we consider a strong stance to be. What is power to us? Not the kind of strategic power, but rather how do we show our courage? How do we show up boldly for ourselves? It is in doing just that that we end up unleashing this powerful energy of healing as well with Chiron there. And it can speak to how we come to understand what our own unique golden fleece might be. With full moons, that closure, very likely, the trials, the tribulations, whatever they've been for you, now are going to start to feel like they're coming to a close for now. And as part of any life, there are moments when we're able to recognize some prize that we've earned, that we secure, and it helps us to feel safe. It helps us to understand our own sense of agency. And that can change so much to our advantage. Owning your own light, owning your own power, deciding where your free will is going to take you. and being able to exercise whatever agency you have access to is one very powerful way to become a healer in our own lives at this time. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It's a valuable and meaningful astrological moment. The thing you want to remember is that lots of people are going to be feeling very vulnerable. Choices that we might make rather innocently may seem as if other people are responding to them in ways that aren't necessarily comfortable or easy. And it can also feel as if some blame of how another person responds is being put on us. But that works vice versa as well. It may feel as if we are provoked, and we are invited to look at how much we're going to own our own response, our own reaction, and how much of it is that we have to go to that person, which may or may not be effective, especially with that very isolated full moon. It does suggest that it's much more important to understand ourselves and to be courageous for ourselves by showing up for ourselves. That's where meaningful healing can occur. Now, always, always do what's right for you to do in light of your unique circumstances. But know that this week, the energies really accelerate. They invite us to claim presence, claim power, but also get honest about heart, where we've been kidding ourselves and what the truth really is. And they say the truth can set you free, but as Gloria Steinem said, at first it tees you off, right? At first it doesn't feel good. That's when you know you're on the right track. And very quickly, that sense of discomfort is transformed to understanding. And the way in which we feel that great news, great developments, and wonderful changes have arrived. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys. And to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership Rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has some incredible programs that we have begun to debut, and they are limited time, choose your tuition rate, and they are very special. Each and every one of these teachers is exceptional in their own right, but it's also what they're teaching that I think is going to be so powerful for so many of us now. Mark LAURENSON is back, one of our most popular teachers. Students absolutely love him, and they often say that learning from him is a journey that changes them profoundly and deeply. And so you've seen Mark quite a bit at Synchronicity University on my channel as well. Mark LAURENSON had previously taught a class on the soul's mission in the birth chart, and now he's back with the soul's mission in forecasting. So this is a 5-week course that is oriented around prediction, which is one part of our tradition, and using the astrology chart to understand what energies are upcoming and deciding what you're going to do with them, and also how they may be awakening your own soul mission. This is a powerful experience with the one and only Mark LAURENSON from the Sydney School of Astrology. And so as much as it's a wonderful thing to understand your birth chart, that's foundational. To understand symbolically your connection to everyone and everything and the sky and yourself, it is also very powerful to consider the growth that you have been through, but also what's coming up ahead with these massive celestial changes that really start to kick in next year and the year after, and we got a little taste of it over the spring this year as well. Well, it does suggest that this is the time to strengthen those skills so that you can understand how these big changing energies coming up are going to speak to you in your birth chart and how it is that you're going to navigate this upcoming time of change. Mark Laurenson is the perfect person where you learn the techniques and to guide you at this time. Very limited time to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn from the one and only Mark Laurenson. It is only at Synchronicity University that he teaches at that rate. And so you can learn a whole lot more and sign up at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents a truly incredible learning experience. Coming up, a brand new system of astrology for so many of you out there is going to be draconic astrology, taught by the one and only Maria Blanquier. Now, you've seen Maria on my channel before. She's made videos, and she even previously did an intro to draconic astrology. Well, now she's bringing a 5-week course to Synchronicity University, which is choose your tuition rate for a very limited time. And so draconic astrology really is its own thing, but it is going to have you looking at your chart so differently, so profoundly, because that's really the point. Draconic astrology seeks to understand spiritual purpose. That's what it comes down to, but also our spiritual challenges in this lifetime as well. Not only does it approach the chart with a profound spirituality, but it helps you to understand certain karmic patterns, traits that might be there, and also give you tools to how it is that you can transcend them. And taught by Maria, my God, this is set to be such a powerful experience for so many of us out there. And so check it out, learn a lot more about this class, and remember, you have got a limited time to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class to learn draconic astrology. Again, it's a whole system. It's a very different way of looking at your chart, but it is profound. It'll change how you look at your birth chart, your birth time, your birthplace, and it'll change the way that you understand what it is that you're actually here to learn on a spiritual level, enhancing your spiritual juices as well as you actually work with the chart towards your positive evolution. So find a lot more information about draconic astrology, the upcoming class at Synchronicity University at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. And thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Now, I recorded the close and then I realized, oh, Nadiya, you got to talk about the hair because you know people are going to be mentioning the hair. I know my hair is different. And I know that Venus still is in shadow. I have no doubt after the experience I had with a wonderful hairdresser. And I told her I wanted to look like a lion. That's what I said to her. And that's what she gave me. And now I'm like, did I really want that? I don't know, but it's just hair, right? It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be expression. So yeah, let's see where it takes me. It's just hair and it can be a joy as well. So yeah, that's the difference there. And the other difference is that I'm very excited. I'm very happy. I am back at my parents' house in the outskirts of central Ontario, and yet I hope to be on the move very soon, and I hope to share that journey with you. And of course, if you see me on social media or in my video and you see that I'm in a particular place and you are there, you know, I love meeting friends and fans on the road, whether it's for an official consult, but really that's not even necessary. Just a hug, a coffee, whatever it is, it ends up being such a joy to see all the love out there. So I'm looking forward to those synchronistic moments of connecting with friends and fans and superstars on the road as well. So be on the lookout for that. And again, thank you. Thank you for your love, for your trust, especially of my interpretation of the sky. This full moon is set to be rather intense. I did speak about it for each sign in the monthly horoscope, so you may want to review that again. But of course, I'm here to talk about it as we go along every step of the way. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.